Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and on this episode we're doing a top 10. Topic of the top 10? Top 10 dream matches for All In London. Now on the last episode of Dynamite, as I'm taping this video, they made a massive announcement that they're going to bring back All In, and not only are they bringing back All In, but they're going to run it at Wembley Stadium in London, which, if I remember properly, can hold 70,000 people. It's a very ambitious idea, as was the original All In itself. With that, this is my idea for the 10 matches I'd like to see on the card. There are some caveats. I will not use the same person twice, so basically I won't say something like, I'd like to see MJF go against this person. I'd like to see MJF go against this person. I'd like to see MJF go against this person, because I could do that with everybody and make a top 10 list of opponents for probably everybody on this card that I'd love to see. But I wanted to keep it different, keep different matches, maybe put it out as a match card. I know it's probably going to be more like 12 to 15 matches when it gets all said and done between this and the pre-show. With that being said, let's jump right in with our number 10. For the International Championship, or the All-Atlantic Championship, Orange Cassidy defending against Simon Miller. I think it would be an absolute shame if they run a show in England and Simon Miller is not involved in some way, whether it be as a wrestler, whether it be as a backstage interviewer, whether it be the host of the pre-show. I just find Simon Miller extremely entertaining, and if you're not familiar with him, he's from What Culture. He does the ups and downs there. Just a guy with a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of joy that he brings to wrestling. One of the people I look to for inspiration when I'm doing my videos to try and keep my videos upbeat and to keep them positive. I kind of think of Simon Miller when I think of him. This would be perfect for one of those 0 hour or beginning show matches, and I'd love to see him here. He doesn't necessarily have to win, but I'd love to see him on the card. Now going from that, our number 9. It looks like the battle lines are being drawn and there's going to be a battle for the leader of Bullet Club. We have David Finley, who's taken over in Japan and basically forced his way in, and the ousted Switchblade Jay White, who can't wrestle in New Japan. So here's the loophole. He can wrestle here. He can wrestle on Forbidden Door. I would do David Finley versus Jay White for the leadership of the Bullet Club. Either that or fully splinter the Bullet Club and dissolve them at this point. There's an obvious line where Juice Robinson and LP are on the side of Jay White right now, where others have fallen in line and are okay with David Finley. Let's see how it plays out. I'd love to see it here. I think it'd be an awesome match as well, something that would entertain the fans, and it would also get around the fact that Jay White isn't allowed to wrestle for New Japan. Going from that, our number 8. For the Ring of Honor TV Championship, Samoa Joe defending against Mark Briscoe, this time in a Reach for the Sky ladder match. We just saw the Reach for the Sky ladder match with the tag teams, that it was a concept they brought up there. I think this would be perfect. It would be a great place to give Mark Briscoe that win in a match that's named after his brother, in a tribute to his brother, beating one of his brother's big opponents, beating one of his big opponents, Samoa Joe. I think this absolutely would be a crowd pleaser. Plus, it gives you a ladder match, which most fans really enjoy watching. I think it would be cool to put on here. I'd love to see it. Now, going from that, our number 7. And these aren't necessarily in the order they would appear on the show, just the order that I think of importance to me. For the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, MJF defending against Nick Aldis. Right now, Nick Aldis is a free agent, and he's one of the preeminent English wrestlers there is in the world. He has a pedigree. He was on the original All In card. He went into that as the NWA champion. What better way to have him on All In again as defending for the AEW championship? He's going to get the home crowd. They're going to be trying to tear apart MJF here. I think this would be a great match. Another match to really help solidify MJF's reign, beating someone of the quality of Nick Aldis without necessarily hurting someone on their roster by having them lose to MJF. Even if they do put Nick Aldis on the roster, I don't think it hurts Aldis at this point because he's solidified himself as a top-tier talent through the world over the last decade or so. So this would be a really fun match, one that you would give the home crowd, one of their people, an English wrestler, for them to watch. I think it would be awesome. Going from that, our number 6. In a Texas bull rope match, Jon Moxley versus Hangman Page. And I know this seems to be an ongoing, never-ending feud between the two, but I think it's time to ramp up the violence. Whether it be a bull rope match, which I think would fit perfectly with Hangman Page's gimmick, or a straight-up death match here. I think they need to do something more towards a violent feud ender here. Basically put everything on the line, one-on-one, one last time with all the violence ramped up. A bull rope match, when worked properly, can be a thing of beauty. I think back to 6 years ago, Jay Lethal versus Cody Rhodes at Supercard of Honor. I think that was a fantastic bull rope match. I think this would make a fantastic bull rope match, hence why I think it's a match I'd love to see on the card. Now going from that, our number 5. This is going to take a little bit of stretching. The rumors going around are that Drew McIntyre is not going to re-sign with WWE. I don't know exactly when the contract is up. Some people are saying it's up soon. Others are saying that it won't be up in time. We're going to go with the fact that it is up in time. So we're going to have Drew Galloway, aka Drew McIntyre, going up against Powerhouse Hobbes for the TNT Championship. Again, another homegrown talent, another United Kingdom wrestler in Galloway, or McIntyre if you go by his WWE name. I'm probably going to interchange the two here. Going up against one of, in my opinion, the best quote-unquote homegrown AEW talents, a guy that basically built up his whole reputation on AEW. I think this would be a great match. It would be akin to the Sheamus and McIntyre matches, or the Walter and Sheamus matches. Just two big beefy men slapping beef. I think this would be really fun. A real contrast to what AEW is given us. For the most part, we haven't had those kind of matches for the most part in AEW, so I think this would be an awesome way to not only have a wrestler from the United Kingdom on the card, but to give us a little bit something different here. Going from that, our number 4, possibly the two best technical wrestlers in the world, Bryan Danielson versus Zack Saber Jr. in what a lot of people would consider a purist dream match. It's no secret that both of these guys want to wrestle each other. They've said so multiple times. Zack Sabre Jr. has brought him up over and over again in interviews. Danielson said it's one of the people he most wants to work with. Let's make it happen. Again, another English wrestler and Zack Sabre Jr. getting on the card, getting to wrestle against Bryan Danielson in a match that most of the world wants to see. In my opinion, a match that if it's booked here, it will be one of the marquee matches of the show. I think it would absolutely be amazing if given the right amount of time, which they definitely will. It's AEW. They give everybody time. I think this has the markings of an all-time classic, a 6-star, 7-star match, whatever you want to call it. I think this would be absolutely awesome. It definitely needs to be on the card. Now going from that, our number 3. We've seen recently where Sting has said he wants to end his career sooner than later. So why not book his retirement match here at the biggest stadium that they're going to wrestle in front of what promises to be the biggest crowd AEW is going to have for a very long time. Sting versus Darby Allin, the teacher versus student. I think this match would work wonders for Sting. He could announce beforehand that he's going to retire either way, win, lose, or draw. That way there's no real pushback for Darby Allin winning over him, which absolutely is the right thing to do. You give Darby Allin a signature win, probably the biggest, most high-profile win of his career at that point, over one of the absolute legends in wrestling in Sting. I think this would be a really fun match, especially seeing the depths that Sting is willing to go on pay-per-view matches. For him to go out with a bang against the guy that's basically been his Padawan up until this point, I think this would be an absolutely awesome match. Now going from that, our number 2. For the AEW Women's Championship, Jamie Hayter defending against Mercedes Moné. And I know a lot of people are going to lean to Jamie Hayter versus Soraya. And yes, that would be a massive match for England. But I think this would be the better match. And it's no knock on Soraya. She is one of my favorite female wrestlers of all time. She's right up there in my top 2 or 3 easily. I just don't think that since she's come back, she's really had that match that makes you go, okay, she's right there again. She's right at the top of the card again. And it's no knock to her. She's had 5 years off. Women's wrestling has drastically evolved for the better in that time frame, in my opinion. And again, we have to try and sell 70,000 tickets. Mercedes Moné, unfortunately, at this point is a better draw and a better wrestler. And I do apologize. I'm not knocking Soraya in any way. I'm just stating facts. I think this would be the best possible women's championship match you could have on the card. I think it would be absolutely awesome. Now, before we get to our number one, we do a thing here called the best of the rest. Basically, things that were considered for the top 10 but didn't quite make it. First up, for the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship, Claudio Castagnoli defending against Trent Seven. Here we are again. We have another chance for a United Kingdom wrestler, one of my favorite wrestlers from the NXT UK show, one of the best talents in the United Kingdom over the last 20 years or so, in Trent Seven, and you have Claudio Castagnoli, one of the best wrestlers in the world right now as well. Absolutely going out there on either an early card match or a pre-show match and tearing the house down, giving the fans what they want. This would be awesome to see. I'd love to have it on the show. I'm a real big fan of Trent Seven. I like him a lot. I think this would be a great place for him. Whether he sticks with AEW afterwards or not, either way is okay. I'd love to see him in AEW or even in the Ring of Honor product. I think this would be really fun. Now, last but not least on the best of the rest, for all of us Soraya fans, this is where she comes in. We get the Outcasts, Soraya, Ruby Riott, and Toni Storm going up against the Originals, Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, and Riho. For me, I would go with this match here. Again, you get more people, more bang for the buck. 6 women get involved in the card. 3 former world champions going up against 1 former world champion and 2 other women who are hell-bent on destroying the AEW Originals, quote-unquote, in what is basically a rehash of the NWO angle for the 800 millionth time. I do enjoy it. I think they're doing really well with it. That's not a knock on the talent involved. Here you have 6 fantastic wrestlers. Again, this would be an early card match. You get Soraya out there, an absolute legend, one of England's favorite wrestlers, so she's going to get that home crowd pop, even though she's on the evil side on this. Just a fun 6-person match to start the show, or to be early on in the show. I think it would be great to put on here. Now, before we get to our number one, if you think I put a match too high, a match too low, left a match off altogether, let me know what you think down here in the comments. While you're there, smash that like button, share the video, subscribe if you haven't. And if you notice, there's a button there that says join. That's how you become a channel member. Click that button if you'd like to join, like to become a member. There are going to be membership perks. And with all that being said, our number one dream match for All Out London, FTR and CM Punk versus Nick and Matt Jackson and Kenny Omega, the Elite versus FTR and CM Punk. Again, I lean back on the fact that you have to sell tickets. What better way to sell tickets than what is arguably their biggest star in CM Punk, and arguably their biggest story, the fallout from All Out last year. There's quote-unquote no animosity between FTR and the Young Bucks. There's no animosity to the point where there was a backstage fight between CM Punk and the Elite. I think this would be the absolute perfect way to capitalize on that buzz, capitalize on that. Definitely, especially if you don't have any of the participants go against each other leading up to this, where there's a no-touch rule. Basically, they don't get involved in backstage segments. They don't get involved in front of the camera with each other. This match is a be-all, end-all, and I think it would work on a lot of levels. First off, you get CM Punk, a guy that the UK crowd hasn't seen in almost a decade. You get the personal problems. I'm a big proponent of the old adage that personal issues sell. I think that's going to help because a lot of people know about that. You get 2 of the best tag teams in the world, FTR and the Young Bucks. Kenny Omega, one of the great wrestlers of all time, along with CM Punk, another great wrestler. If need be, you could put the Trios Championship on the line. Either have Punk and FTR win it, or have the Elite win it back and then have it be defended here. I don't think it needs a championship match, but it wouldn't hurt to have it. I think this would be the best and most positive payoff of everything that came out of All Out. I think this is the best use of some of your big stars, especially CM Punk and Kenny Omega, You could easily have a Punk and Omega singles fight, but I think the real money is in the six-man match because the fight was more with him and all three of the Elite than it was just him being Omega in this part. I know, watch the pronouns. In my opinion, I think it's a match that most wrestling fans are looking forward to the most, and most wrestling fans definitely want to see. With all that being said, again, if you think I put a match too high, a match too low, left one off, let me know in the comments. If you made it all the way to the end, give me one of your dream matches for the All-In card. It doesn't necessarily have to stay within logic like mine is. If you want to say Roman Reigns versus Kenny Omega, you could go ahead and put that there. But let me know a match that you'd love to see. There's definitely some ultra talented wrestlers I left off of this card that could easily make 5 to 10 more matches, so let me know some of the matches you'd like to see. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and this has been another Heel Heat Top 10.